welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Stacey and I'm a mature student studying with the Open University for a BA Honours in Childhood and Youth Studies. I'm currently in year 3 out of 6 because I study part-time, which means that I've just gone up to level 2 of my degree studies. So let's get into the video. This time I will be answering what is different between level 1 and level 2 at the Open University. So I think the first thing I need to do is give a disclaimer. So what I'll be talking about only relates to my experience directly. I can't speak on anybody else's behalf, and we will all have very different experiences and opinions of things. So just to be clear, this video is only based on my experience of the Open University and the modules that I have taken. So I think that the Open University does a great job of easing students into certain skills or methods, that kind of thing. Every module I've taken has given me the skills gradually to build me up to where I need to be in order to pass my EMA. It has also been done in a way that's barely noticeable. So whilst I can look back on my first 2 modules and say, wow, I've come such a long way from there, in my opinion, I also couldn't have told you that at the time. I couldn't. When you're in it, you're so close to it as well, and it is quite fast paced sometimes. So I think what will happen is it's only when you look back on your studies that you say, oh wow, I've come such a long way, I can do this, 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 this and this. And I think a lot of that boils down to just the experience of studying regularly. Firstly, I would say that my tutors have all been equally lovely. I haven't noticed a particular difference in tutors other than that 2 were male, 1 is female. They all seem fairly passionate about what they're doing. This tutor I have now, it seems incredibly passionate. She's so knowledgeable as well, and I think it's not really fair to put her up against some of the level 1 tutors, because I think the level 1 tutors are not really meant to give us too much information. You're sort of only meant to go on the basics of what the OU give you. So to be fair, I think that's the biggest difference I would say, is that they don't give you as much information maybe in tutorials and things like that, but that's about it. It's not a huge difference at all. I will say I've had minimal contact with my tutors. I attend tutorials. I try to attend tutorials with my tutor where possible. Last year I don't know if I attended any with him. Maybe I did, but I don't remember attending any with him. My first year and this year I have all of my tutorials are with my tutor barring 1, and that was the same in the first year. That's just how it worked out. That wasn't on purpose. But yeah, tutorials, TMA feedback, requests for extensions, things like that have all been perfectly fine. Like nothing untoward. Everything feels exactly the same. I guess, like I say, the only difference is the feedback itself, which is more involved in year 2, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the tutors themselves have all been lovely. I've been really lucky with my experiences with my tutors. So another difference is that my level 1 modules focused solely on material provided by the Open University, barring a couple of videos and things that, you know, that might have even actually been OU material itself too. But yeah, it was all provided. It was the online material and the reading material, like the book that they give you, or the books. that was all OU based, whereas level 2 so far has been, they've given us lots of outside resources, which is lovely. It's the book, it all works out about the same time wise though, because the book is smaller, the reader, and then in the online materials they give you like links to articles, links to research papers, to lots of different things, to books, things like that. So there is, I wouldn't necessarily say there's more reading, there might be a bit more, but it feels like it's evened out a bit, and it feels really nice to read some outside material, only because it felt very insular last year, and because I had been to a Brick uni many moons ago, it felt very unnatural to only be reading OU material, whereas this year feels much more like we're part of the big wide world, I guess. But yeah, it means a bit more referencing and different kind of referencing, obviously, because last year we were just referencing OU materials and I'd got that to a point where I could do it in my sleep, and now I actually have to think about it when I'm referencing. But other than that, it's great, I love it. So another thing I've noticed is that, this is probably quite obvious, that a higher level of competency is expected of you when you're writing TMAs and EMAs and reports and things like that. So that will be reflected in the essay questions, for example. It will be reflected in the word count, so they'll be a bit higher. I will say it's not going to jump from level 1 to level 2 just immediately. We started off with 1,000 words, so that's what we ended off with in level 1. I'm at TMA 3 now, and that's just jumped up to 1,500 words. So again, it's still very gradual. Word counts, like the marking criteria it'll be a bit more involved. Again, like I say, it's all done very gradually and they lay it out for you, so it's very obvious. And as I've said in loads of my other videos before, if you are following what they tell you to do, you'll be fine. Like, just do what they say and you'll be fine. And I don't know if it's a level 2 thing or this module thing. I'm guessing it's a level 2 thing. This year's tutorials feel so much better. They feel more comprehensive, but I don't think that they technically are. I think it's because people engage more, and they're encouraged to engage more with things like polls and I forget what they're called, but you put like a little text box on something and you can write either anonymously or in the chat whatever you think the answer to a question is, and things like that. It's still very chilled, very relaxed, in the sense of like you don't have to engage if you don't want to. But I find that people do engage more, and I'm not sure if that's because it's a level 2 module, which means that people are more confident in engaging. They know the software, because Adobe Connect can be a pain, and things like that. So maybe it's a bit of everything, where people feel they can engage more because they're encouraged to, but also because they're more confident in themselves, in the work, and in the software that we use. But I'm loving the tutorials. They're great. Even when I've attended my last one I attended, I felt really rubbish, and I was tempted to not go, but I went and I really enjoyed it and I engaged and it was great. So I will say that whilst it could, I mean, like I said, my particular tutor is a particularly engaging person, so that may be part of it, but I have been to a different person's tutorial as well, and people did engage with that. So I don't think it's just limited to her. I think it is partly that you're kind of encouraged to engage more. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that, and I think that's a huge positive, because There were tutorials last year that were a little bit boring because it was just nobody interacted, so it was just a person talking on a microphone with slides for an hour and a half sometimes. So yeah, huge plus. And another thing that's completely different this year is me. I am much more relaxed. I'm enjoying this module immensely. I feel more determined this year for some reason, but I'm just really enjoying it. So for me, that's something that's hugely different this year. And I think I'm not so laid back that I'm not doing the work, but I just feel more laid back about things like the marks, the grades and things like that. I'm not panicking every time it's time to wait for a grade from my TMAs and things like that. So I think it's partly due to really disliking it last year and loving it this year. It's been such a huge contrast that it's just a relief. I'm just really relieved. But also I think it's partly because it's year 2. I've done the year 1 scared of everything because everything feels new and strange, and I'm not quite at the year 3 part, which is like, I say year 3, level 3 part, which is very I feel like that'll be more pressure for me. I'm kind of in that sweet spot at the moment where I'm really just enjoying it for what it is, which feels lovely. And that leads me beautifully onto my last point, which is, in my experience, the more you enjoy a module, the more you'll get out of it and the easier it feels. So even if you are jumping from level 1 to level 2, last year felt way more difficult for me than this year, and that is entirely because I didn't enjoy it. When I had some time when I was behind last year because of my fibro, and catching up on that module felt like wading through treacle, whereas just after Christmas I had 3 weeks to catch up on of this module, and I enjoyed it. I had a week to do it as well. It wasn't even like last year where I had plenty of time. This year I had a week to do it, and I just enjoyed it. It didn't feel stressful. The only like slight annoyance was the time pressure, but the rest of it felt fine. And that was really interesting to me because it was such, you know, I am in level 2 now compared to level 1. You would expect it to be more difficult, but it really wasn't. So if I could give any advice, it would be to try to choose modules that you think you're going to enjoy as much as possible. I know that's not always possible for some degrees, but what's the point of doing it if you're not going to enjoy it? That's how I feel at the moment, and I do. So I'm taking that into my next module choice. There are a couple that I thought I might choose based on like, oh, I think that would be good for potential career choices, but actually I think I'm just going to go for the ones I enjoy and let that be that. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any tips, I know this has not been a comprehensive video because like I said, I can only go on my experiences, and these are like the glaringly obvious ones to me. It hasn't felt like a huge change for me, but if you have any that you would like to share, I would love to hear them, so pop them in the comments below. It would be nice to kind of have like a little conversation in the comments amongst us all, because we all do, I know lots of subscribers on here, we all do different things. Some people are at brick unis, some people are at the OU. I don't think anybody does the same, not that I'm aware of, does the same degree as me. So you will all have different experiences and I would love to hear them. Also, if you've made it this far, maybe you wouldn't mind letting me know how you feel about me doing some lives. Now, the reason I say this is I would quite like to do some study with me's, and I don't know whether to do them on here or Instagram. So the idea would be that it would be a Saturday or a Sunday, maybe for an hour or two, little study with me, just kind of like as a study buddy type thing, just to hold us all accountable basically. I will say it's looking more like a Sunday at the moment with how my weeks are going. probably a Sunday afternoon, but let me know because I can change that. And if you'd rather it be on here or on Instagram, or you know, just let me know what you think. It's been lovely to chat at you all again this week, and I will see you all again next week for another video. And yeah, take care, have a great week, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye.